And welcome back to Retrospect My Fantasy, where we are currently taking a look at the Final Fantasy franchise and working on installment number 13. Now, before we get into the game, got a couple things to go over. Numero uno is that we have been partners with Humble for a little over a month now, and to date, we have raised $37 for charity, which is absolutely fabulous. I am super proud of being able to raise as much as we have. Now, how we've done so is by you using that link and making purchases, whether they be signing up for Humble Monthly, picking something up from the Humble store, or picking out a Humble Bundle. A good portion of that sale price gets donated to charities, specifically the charity that I've picked out, and that's all the proceeds go towards, is Doctors Without Borders. So, if you want to pick up yourself an awesome game, help support our channel, and help support some amazing charities, please take that link right there and go pick yourself out a game. Now, announcement numero dos is that this Saturday is our celebration for reaching 50 followers. Because of which, we will be playing Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 3, giving away a copy of said game, along with a copy of Psychonauts and 3 $20 Steam gift cards. The only way to win is you have to be a follower and be in the chat during that event and when we do the drawings. That's all it takes. So, please, if you take that link right there, the second one that I posted into the events page, you can set yourself a reminder if you need it. Otherwise, I will be definitely tweeting just before going live and before each giveaway. So that is another way of just staying abreast, is following me on Twitter, which you can find a link just a little ways down below. Alright, so let us get back to the Final Fantasies. So, last time in Final Fantasy 13, we had a good old time and totally not Golden Saucer with Zaz and Vanille. They were running around playing with the Chocobo chick, just having a good old time, when the Sanctum attacked and they started running away. Vanille was in the process of trying to tell Zaz that she's part of the reason why Dodge, his son, became a l'Cie. But they had to run away, and they did a whole bunch of fighting, and then they got captured, more or less, and a woman who was working with Dodge showed Zaz what's up, and he kind of went apeshit and chased after Vanille. We beat a large enemy and then a summon, and then it was just the summon. Yeah, it was just the summon, and then Zaz almost decided to shoot Vanille, but ultimately, so we have seen, it looks like he may have tried to shoot himself.
Rescuing Zaz and Vanille is our top priority.
So now we are back with Lightning.
Smart this time. I'm charging in without a plan. Listen to me talking strategy.
I'm not. So.
My dad's all right.
Good.
Another cavalry unit rescued him and moved him somewhere safe. I kind of wish I could talk to him, but I guess I have to make my own choices now.
Of course.
Ready to roll out?
Heck yeah, random guy. You're totally a transformer.
Come on, let's get this show on the road. I finally found Vanille again, and I'll be damned if I'm just gonna stand around while she's in trouble.
Good. Who are you again?
And once we take off, there's no turning back. Well, make sure you all got everything you need.
Okay. There's nowhere else to go on this ship.
See you at evening when the
let's go. Let's go stick it to the man.
This baby back here is a SciComm vessel. It'll deliver you to the Palamecia.
Oh, we're cargo now?
A parting gift to our rotting government. Take those SciComm guys apart.
And we're supposed to take on all of them? I think the whole division's on board.
I
Whatever.
don't care how many lackeys they've got. Bring them on. Vanille's in there.
I'm sure she's fine. Vanille's tougher than I could ever be.
Hope, are you scared?
Yeah, I'm terrified. But I'll be okay.
Good.
Because I have you. And this guy. And Fang. We're
Hmm.
all in this mess. We gotta stick together.
Right. Enough with the bonding. It's go time.
What do you mean, this guy?
Well, I mean, he did try to stab you with a knife, so...
We
who's this fancy fellow?
Here in person, Your Eminence.
This crisis threatens the entirety of Cocoon, my child. You agree that standing at the fore is a leader's charge?
Wholeheartedly.
It also affords a splendid
Is she just Bayonetta?
of the impending execution.
What's the holdup?
Stand by. Verifying identification code.
You let me land this bird or I'll crash her into your ass.
Just fly casually. Some interesting scanning tech.
You're free to dock. About damn time. All clear. Welcome aboard.
That's your entry vector? Are those energy-based inertial dampeners? Or are those just like holographic fields to aim for while you're coming in hot? Alright, well, now we're aboard the Palamecia. And this should be the first time we actually get to choose our team.
Code red, repeat, code red. Attention all crew, this is not a drill, code red.
Really?
All right. Let's tear him up.
We're here for Vanille and Saz. Stay focused.
Oh, this is a good team. So, let's just do it, guys. Oh, Ravager Commando. Well, there's a couple of guys that are going to get real messed up, that's for sure. Yeah, sorry, guy who was guarding. Now you're going to get your shit stomped in.
Time for another approach.
Here we go.
Thanks. Target's a target.
That is true. A target is a target.
Thank you.
This'll be fun.
Alright, well, we've got one guy down. As soon as Fang is healed up by Hope.
This'll be fun.
Alright, relentless assault. Doesn't even stand a chance. And neither does this guy. This Psycom infiltrator. Sorry, man. US capital F. Messed up. Ooh, 2 incentive chips.
Looks like they want to play.
No kidding. So where to?
Right up there.
That's fine. We'll just keep fighting him. Do I not get to select my battle team? Not yet, huh? I thought we could. Oh well. Do we have enough to finish off? Haha! More maximum HP! 1,000, and how much do we have? 200, not worth the waste. How close was he? Probably on Ravager. Oh, that's not very close. This one, Synergist, huh? That one was pretty close to 1. How's his medic looking? Not great. Not bad either. And how we doing over here? Nope, definitely not. Wasn't working on that. Here we are. At least we got there. Only 450 over to Quake, huh? Sentinel doesn't take a whole lot. It's kind of nice. At least her level of Sentinel doesn't take a whole lot. Still 50 away, so the next fight and he's got it. Oh, I also need to work on these. Okay. No. This is not going to work. Medic, Ravager, let's go Commando, Ravager. I already got that, never mind. So I've got Commando, Ravager, Sentinel. Commando, Medic, Sentinel. Commando... We'll turn this one into a Medic. And then... And we'll start... And we'll start with aggression.
Remember inviting you.
Hey guys.
Nothing I can't handle.
Yeah, the Raider needs to go down first. Because he can guard, and that takes a big, substantial amount of damage that we want to do out of the fight. Go. Well, it's a good thing we can do more damage than they can heal. Although... Let's take care of this then. Alright.
This'll be fun.
I mean, that's not exactly what I would call prime territory of abilities is double blitz, but I mean, it's something.
This'll be fun. Appreciate it. Out of my way!
There we go. Can't cure yourself enough, can you? That's a shame. A real shame. Alright, well, we don't have a whole lot that we need to worry about experience-wise for a little while, so we should be good to go.
What now?
Well,
Get the feeling I'm missing something.
possibly this button right here. The stream health is definitely not where I like it to be. It's fluctuating a lot today. I'll have to keep an eye on that. Ooh, digital circuits. Heck yeah. Don't want any of those analog circuits.
Something bad's waiting for us.
What? No. I mean, yes. Yes. No. Why would you ever think that something bad might be waiting on the enemy's flagship?
Won't be going back that way.
We'll find another route.
We can never go
Way
back.
ahead of you. See that?
Let's go.
Right.
Don't go getting blown away now.
Alright, well, let's go get the optional fight out of the way. That way we can win the thing. Hopefully. Deck drones, huh? They have a fair amount of defense, or hit points at the very least, and hit frequently. It's a little different from an enemy that we face. A little different from the enemies that we usually face. That tornado kick does not sound very fun. Were we able to stop it? I think so. Are we still... No, we're not using the Gladius anymore. We switched over... switched away from that. At the very least, so... At least we're not still using the second weapon. You know, maybe it's about time we actually started to upgrade our gear. But I don't know. Because we don't have it all, and, you know, we don't really know what's going to be useful to our characters later. Sure, let's... That's more than we need. How much do we need? We need 100. And now we'll need 1. Future upgrades will receive a 25% bonus XP. Wonderful. I need 1. What's worth 1? 7? Sure. That's a big magic increase. Not so much on the strength. But... What do we need? Oh, less than that. There we go. So that's up to level 3. Oh, that's not even what we're using. God damn it. Attack charges ATB. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that we actually want. I wish it would just tell us how much XP these things were before we selected it, you know? What do we need? We need about 110. There we go. Nope, sorry. Improved counter. Do we want improved counter? How much improved is improved counter? Yeah, we'll go ahead and get this one up a few levels. Incentive chips. Yep, I can use just raw money. I don't think we have much in the way of things that are actually worth any decent amount of experience. Oh, we got a bomb fragment, but that's not that good. Yeah. I kind of want to see what leveling up one of like the iron bangles does, but that seems kind of useless. You know? See, that's probably going to increase our poison resist, which I'm pretty okay with that. Physical resist. Increase our strength. Auto protect. That might be useful just putting on someone in general. Does he have? He does. What's a star pendant do again? Oh, that's the poison resist one? There we go. That's a little better for our primary healer. Oh, hey, you don't have anything. High HP power surge. Cool. I don't know what that means, but that sounds awesome. Not gonna lie. Alright, so we'll start by moving you up to a silver bangle. Don't know what Veil does. Critical protect, magic up. Yeah, we'll go with black belt. Black belts are always nice. So you got a small amount of an upgrade going there. Small, but still.
Back me up.
Yeah, I think we want to take on the death drones. I don't think they're the high. I think they're the across the damage. They're across the battle. They get their weaker damage overall, but if we can prevent them from using their big ability, which I think they're kind of a burst damage type enemy. But we've never seen their big ability, so I can't claim that for certain. And let's go to Solidarity. Ooh, Hope, you are getting hurt, man. So auto protect only starts you with protect. It doesn't actually give you auto protect as we know it from previous Final Fantasy games. Alright. Time to tear this fight down. Alright. You are not a Dragoon, sir. Dragoons don't use guns and they don't fly. They leave tall buildings in a single bound.
And I was just getting started.
She's more of a Dragoon, and she doesn't even have leap. So the question is, being one of the few areas that actually has branching paths, most of which end in dead ends, and don't actually go anywhere, like... How are we supposed to manage, like... First off, they give us a mini-map. So they give us perfect vision of an area with lots of dead ends. And they show us these dead ends, so there's no need to explore, because we also know that there's no items there. And there's no enemies in most of the dead ends. So why would I go into an area that there's no use for? It's small things like that that are just almost mind-baffling. Oh! Well... And then there's things like that, where the enemy can kill us, seemingly out of nowhere, even though we were definitely winning the fight. I mean, it wasn't completely out of nowhere. We knew that they were charging up a big ability, but we didn't know how big. Alright, time to even those odds. Ooh, giving lightning damage? Or is that lightning defense? I think that's lightning defense. That's nice. And Hope is out of things to do? Oh, no? Okay. Feng is certainly out of things to do.
Time for another
All right.
approach.
What do you want to bet that they all don't have? And of course, by the time we actually get everyone protect on everybody, the auto protect that Hope starts with wears off.
Stay down.
It could have been a lot worse. Thanks to protect, we actually survived it.
Out of my way.
Good job, protect. You kept a team alive that probably shouldn't have. Well, the question is, are they going to get a chance to do it again? If they do, well then we might lose a few people. Pretty much none of them are slowed, so I don't know if it just didn't take, or if they were able to dispel it, or what.
Keep the enemy off balance.
Wrong one.
Change of
Solidarity. There we go. So an enemy that flies can't be knocked up? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Is that the last one? Indeed it is. Alright. It seems a little weird to me that an enemy that can fly can't be knocked up. I mean, the reason it seems weird to me is because it clearly seems like a status effect and not like launch. Seems like a special attack that imparts a status effect that is effectively a stun onto the enemy. Alright. But the fact that it doesn't work on enemies that are flying means that they're going based on trying to do kind of like a realism thing. I mean, for what it's worth. And that definitely doesn't work here. Alright, a bit more magic. God, how much XP do we need to finish this off? 1,000, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,000. No, 8,000 more experience just to finish off Commando. God damn. Alright, well, since you are clearly the medic of this team, and we need a medic bad, although Asuna, Kira, does he not have raise? Does he not get raise? And he gets renew. But he doesn't get raise. Interesting. Very interesting. Well, you are definitely, at least for now, our sentinel. Fortunately, your sentinel levels are still low enough that we can still get them in bountiful amounts. Your sentinel levels, however, sir, are expensive. Although you learned renew as a sentinel. Maybe we should swap out. Because she's a much better fighter, but he has a much better sentinel ability. Oh, okay. Hey there, buddy. Yep, come at me, bro.
Let's get this
Also, you're screwed. Knowing what I know about, I mean, this is just JRPG logic in general, but if you are ever like a lone guard and you run into a group of people wielding weapons in a JRPG, just run. Actually, if you... Important light note, not just in JRPGs. If you're the only person in an area protecting something, and you see a group of people with weapons, it's okay to run.
That ship's parked. Maybe we can use it.
I mean, you should probably let somebody know, like the police, but I'm not going to fault you for running in that situation. In fact, I would consider it the smart and correct thing to do. Oh, upping the ante by doubling the amount of the same enemy. Can we handle 2 of them? Yes, we can handle 2 of them. They hit kind of hard, but not so hard as to really warrant, like, serious worry. Oh, that, however, was hard enough that having some healing would be nice. Alright. There we go. That'll work. Do you guys kind of remember the cave, the that weird ancient temple thing in Final Fantasy VIII, where we fought brothers and we spent like an entire episode like wandering around that thing, that ancient temple? This kind of reminds me of that because the enemies are simultaneously this weird combination of like totally able to destroy us and kind of chumps. It's definitely a weird dichotomy. I mean, we're not going to get lost in here. All we have to do, for the most part, is push forward with the occasional turn. But I'm definitely slightly reminded of that scenario. Can we get more HP? No. What? We're 50... We're not even 50. We're 40... When it's that close, that's the only time... Like, I got that way in Dark Souls, though, as well. It's like, so, right freaking there. Are you kidding me? It's right there. It's the only time I get salty with these sorts of things. It's like, come on. Come on. I mean, I know it's numbers... And the numbers don't lie. But still. Ooh, now she has Steel Guard. Is she gonna get... And she will get Renew later. But she doesn't have it now. And he has a lot more HP than she does. Almost half again. We get the... We did not. Well, ooh. This is going to be quite the fight. 4 of these guys plus... Come on. Oh, we staggered one. Can we finish it off before it uses its weirdo attack on us? Although now that she has Steel Guard and she's the one protecting the team, we're actually pretty much just fine. Alright, we'll take the Dragoon. Because he has the ability to deal the most damage in a single burst by himself. with that missile pod. So I've been thinking about doing a series once a week. Because right now I'm doing 5 days a week. I'm doing the retrospective. It's alright. How you doing, Kassan? But, so 5 days a week, unless I really need to play something different, I do the retrospective. I've been thinking about doing 1 day a week devoted towards D&D. It'll be various things. The first thing I would probably do is I'm working on a big project for D&D, which is a compendium taking my favorite 2nd edition AD&D campaign setting and turning it into and bringing it into the modern day, into 5th edition. It would include a monster manual, rewriting the races, rewriting classes, a new marketplace or bazaar or whatever you want to call it. But I've just been kind of rolling it around. I don't know what I would call it. I would probably just call it writing for D&D or something like that. Something pretty straightforward. But it would be like, some days would be all about like working in Photoshop, and some days would pretty much just be about writing and like rules balancing and figuring stuff out like that. But I don't know, I'm just kind of rolling around the idea at the moment. Because A, what it would do is it would give me some time to actually work on the compendium like I've been wanting to do for a little while. It would also give me time to, at some point, write my new campaign ideas. I've got a couple. And I thought, you know, it might be interesting for some people who just want to, like, see the process of how DMing really works and how you get into it and what you do. This height would not make me dizzy. I would probably faint. Actually, no, that's not true. I wouldn't faint. I would probably be crawling, holding on to this rail the entire time.
Forward march.
Heights are my biggest... Heights and good food are my two biggest weaknesses. The difficult thing, if I was going to be doing that, is, like, I was thinking about maybe doing it on Fridays, just kind of break things up, but I'd want to look at, like, where Critical Role and the C-Team and Dice Friends, what days those fall on, because I don't want to do something that's D&D related, competing with 3 of the biggest D&D streams on Twitch.
Just getting started.
But it's still in the works, so who knows? And by works, I mean just kind of rolling it around my head. Okay, that is more enemies than initially appeared on the battlefield.
Let's get this over with.
Ultimately, the greater idea for all this comes from the fact that I want to do more than just, like, the retrospectives are awesome, I love it, but doing different things is the best way to not get burned out on it. by changing things up a little bit. And when I have good topics for those long, kind of philosophical talks about like, design and streaming and things like that, that definitely broke things up, and that was really nice. But I don't really have a whole lot of those type of things just like kicking around my brain that I can just like talk up a whole bunch of all the time. And some of the things like current political climate I really don't want to get into, because politics in America are a very strong subject right now, and I think that while it is important to think about and know, I want this to be a place where people can kind of escape from that. Alright, well let's do some serious damage and try and finish out this fight as quickly as possible. And it's not... Actually, that's very true. It's not just in America either. Like, around the world, politics is all messed up right now. For both sides of the fence, political, or all three sides of the fence, I guess I would say. The conservative, liberal, and independent. Like, nobody's really happy pretty much anywhere right now. And people feel very strongly about their politics, so... Alright, so... when's our next boss fight? It's gotta be coming up. Well, I don't know how much 50 HP is really gonna help with all that, but we'll see. Maybe 50 HP on lightning. That's an interesting... My gut tells me that you're probably correct. Certainly more so than the 90s. But... you know, not living through those time periods, only looking at those time periods through the lens of history, definitely makes it a little bit harder to see all factors, but my gut tells me you're right. And my gut is usually okay. Oh, so he didn't commit suicide. Well, that's good. Either that or he's a revenant.
Enough. Is enough.
Yeah, that's how the episode ended yesterday. Couldn't quite do it, huh? Well, that's good. Because, to be perfectly honest, as someone who has...
why can't I do it?
Had those types of thoughts
No reason to
long ago in the past.
Can't even kill you.
It's the coward's way out. Actually, I shouldn't say the coward's way out.
Freeze!
Oh, most definitely. I shouldn't say the coward's way out. It is the last resort of desperate people. even though they have so much more than what they believe.
You should be proud.
Hey, Wicked! Thank you for the host.
The boy who saved Cocoon. We'll erect a memorial in Eden and put his crystal on display.
Ooh, you are a horrible woman.
As the son of a pulseless sea.
Doing very well. How you doing, man?
Shame and misery. Isn't it better he be treated with reverence as a monument to sacrifice? The next time your eyes open will be the last.
Is her writing crop poisoned or something? Did I miss something? Or is it supposed to be like a pressure point thing? Like, why did that make him pass out?
I'm pathetic.
That's my life. I'm the one who lied to everyone.
Forget it. You can't change what's done.
But if I just told the truth...
Now. I've been thinking. You woke up from being a crystal once. Well, that means Dodge will wake up one day too, right?
Presumably? We don't really know how all this works. The Falseer ineffable gods.
I mean, how did it happen? You were done with your focus, right?
I was chosen. I was made into a Lassie to fight against Cocoon. It happened back on Grand Pulse, hundreds of years ago. We finished our focus, and we fell into a long crystal sleep.
Their facial rig still needs a little bit of work. Like, most of the time it's pretty good, but every once in a while it's definitely missing something. Alright, so this is if this is day 1, where are we at? Are we on, like, day 15? No, because we've seen day 15. Fan service.
Bang!
Alright. Okay, so they don't really know, they don't know much, but they know their names.
We woke up on Cocoon to the start of a new focus. Fang, she'd forgotten everything. And for me, just the thought of hurting people again. It was too much. So I lied. I played dumb. Said I'd lost my memory. I wanted to escape my fate as a Lassie.
Do I think the effects of generational change are
And
beginning
ever since then,
to become more
I've
apparent?
been running away from it.
No, I think that they've always been incredibly apparent.
Block our way, you die.
You trying to get him
And
angry?
every generation
I thought maybe they'd
before,
run.
the,
There's been enough
whatever
of
the
this.
current growing up
You
generation
thought they'd
is,
run?
including
Let
our
me
own,
refresh your memory.
thinks that the
Those
current
soldiers
generation are a
think
bunch of
protecting
upstart
Cocoon
idiots that
is
don't know what they're doing.
The Falsey have them all
And
brainwashed.
that they will have something similar to, like, so
Cannot let this go on.
at first there was rock and roll music,
Attention all crew. Code
and not at first, but in terms of like mass media changes, you know, there was rock and roll music, television, or movies, television, computers, video games, all of these things inform the zeitgeist of culture and change how the generation that grows up with them views them. As a perfect example, those of us who grew up with the internet when it was still kind of fledgling in terms of who had it and how good it was, know things such as anything that gets put on the internet is potentially on the internet forever.
Out of my way!
However, the generation after us, who grew up with the internet in its fledgling form, the generation who grew up with the internet as we know it today, for them, the internet has always been, and they don't understand a lot of the developing technologies that go into it and what that means. So we think of them doing, stupid things on the internet, and we're like, oh, this generation is so stupid. I feel, I have no faith in them because they don't understand what's going on around them. And at the same time, they look at our generation and think, oh, look at these old farts who are just kind of like beaten down and beaten down by everything and are so cynical, and
This'll be fun.
like I actually don't know much beyond that. The only reason I know those things is because my sister is in the generation after us, and she thinks those things of me, and has told me so.
Time for another approach.
And the generation before us that grew up with the fledgling internet thinks like, oh, look at these kids and their newfangled computers and the internet. All they do is spend all day on the internet doing nothing. Why don't they care? All they do is waste their time with their video games and their Pokemans and their comic books. So every generation gets effectively oppressed by the generation before it and gets to oppress the generation after it, while simultaneously hating the generation before them for screwing everything up. So it's very weird. I don't think that the generational gaps are becoming more apparent. I think that they've always been apparent. It's just that now that we are the generation that's in the middle, we are seeing the gap more strongly than before.
Nothing I can't handle.
Let's deal with this Huntress. She seems a little weird, and she seems like she's gonna buff some people up. Oh man, that was a lot of buffing very quickly. Now, that just might be me being cynical, as I have been called over a significant portion of my life, but that does not necessarily mean that I'm wrong in my being cynical. It's what's that saying? Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you. But that's just my thoughts. I'm one person that during my heydays of juvenile rebellion spent I wouldn't even call it necessarily juvenile. It was high school and post-high school.
Come on now.
Yeah, so you're actually far more in a far more unique position than me. Being 32, I am definitely in the I grew up. My household had an Apple II, that was mine because my parents wanted me to learn how to type. We didn't get a more modern computer or the internet until 2004, my graduating year in high school.
Keep a cool head.
And when we did finally get internet, and I finally convinced them that we needed the internet, we had dial-up. Not even DSL, we had dial-up. So that offered me, like, all my friends had internet, my school had internet. I got to use the internet all the time, but not at home. Which, in terms of my own generation, definitely gave me a different perspective on things. And not necessarily a bad one. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say the best one either. So yeah, you're definitely kind of in that, like, right in between the two, like, what I would call the two major generational generations that are, like, the 30-somethings who are in power, and then the teens who are who are just starting to come into their power. You're kind of right in between there, which offers you a very unique perspective that I kind of envy. Yeah, so she can... The Huntress? Is that what she is? Can boost herself up quite a bit really quickly, but doesn't seem to be able to buff anyone else. I'm okay with that. I think I can live with that. Her buffing herself really well, but not anyone else. Let's see here. You're 22. Does that... Well, you're probably more software savvy than I am. I'm pretty hardware savvy. Like, I understand, like how these things go together, how their interactions work really well. I do not know how to exploit that, but... Oh. Whoa, wait. Did we find an optional area? What? That's awesome. This is actually, I think, where we're supposed to leave, but regardless. Yeah, I understand hardware a lot more than I understand software. Unless it's art software. I understand that pretty well. Because I've had to spend a lot of time in Corel and Photoshop and Paint and Illustrator. Not much time on any of the formatting stuff, like doing any pagination or anything like that. And I certainly have never done any 3D art stuff, so nothing like Lightroom or God, why can't I think of... I can do some repairs. Like when I had a hard drive failure not that long ago, I just went out and bought a new hard drive and swapped it out and restored from my backup and was back up and running again. I mean, it took me an entire weekend to reinstall and get everything the way I wanted it, but it's just that was just like a normal day. Oh ho hum. Gotta repair my hard drive. Or replace my hard drive.
Don't be careless.
Probably. Hardware and ooh, we found a grinding spot. As hardware becomes more and more reliable, the types of stuff that I kind of know how to do, and people who go to school for computer sciences learn specifically how to do, are going to become less and less required, or it's going to take fewer people to fill those roles in any business industry. Because the problems are going to become less frequent, and the problems that do show up are just going to be pretty much just straight swap jobs. So I definitely think you're right. Software and programming, coding, anything like that is going to become far more valuable than the type of stuff that I know how to do with computers. And that's a good thing. Believe me. I spent way more time than I should have fixing other people's computer problems. So we found a good grinding spot. This is like the first like legit good grinding area that we've found in this game. So we're probably going to take advantage of it. I kind of wanted to punch through this chapter tonight, but I think we're going to spend the rest of it doing this grind run. Because we haven't had any, like I said, we haven't had any good spots to grind, and this will give us an opportunity to earn a lot of experience that we need to finish out our Crystarium as it stands currently. And we need that. What are you doing, Hope? Oh, you have magic blocked off, huh? So that's not... I know. I mean, it's something that I typically like to do off-screen, but sometimes you don't get a choice. Oh wait, he can't cast spells. That's right. So let's go to this one. Oh hey, now he can cast spells again. My generation is starting. The next generation definitely outnumbers the baby boomer generations. My generation is getting to the point, because baby boomers are dying off, is getting to the point where we are outnumbering them. I mean, that's kind of a mean way to think about it, but that's the truth. Alright. Beatdown time. Did we get it? I don't think so. Doesn't look like it. Hey, Infiltrator, we're gonna mess you up. Yeah. Oh, this is not good. We are really getting our butts handed to us by these. Yeah, can you all focus on Fang for a little while, please? Pretty much, yeah. Everyone came home from the war, and, well, they had a whole bunch of money. They were pretty much given families, at least in the States. They were all given houses and money for college and a whole bunch of grants and just a whole bunch of awesome benefits. And, well, they used them, and that included having families. Many of whom had actually rather large families. That's where we get the nuclear family, the 2.5 children, house in the suburbs, 2 cars. The idea of keeping up with the Joneses.
Change of plan.
Ouch. That was quite the fall. Actually, not that bad of a fall, considering it was only 10 damage from the fall. I mean, I would expect a sword to hurt a lot more than falling, 20 feet or so.
Target's a target. Come on, then.
Especially when the sword actually goes through you. But, it is what it is.
Keep the enemy off balance.
How much do we get for that one? It's roughly 600. Is that worth it? Yeah, that's worth it. For now. Not for very long, but for now. That's worth it. Deal heavy damage with attack to target to recover from stagger. About to recover from stagger. Okay, so that's kind of a last hit. Oh, that's a last hit mechanic. Got it. Fortunately, we don't have to time it. I mean, I know we've talked a little bit about war history, but one thing we haven't never talked about, if you want to get into that sort of thing, is what happens after wars? It's kind of an interesting subject in the abstract, but if you're not a big fan of talking about war, then it's not really that interesting because you have to talk about what countries expect out of wars, and it can get rather depressing. So, the reason why this is such a good grinding spot is because it's in between 2 save points. Now, the reason that matters is because, say we are running out of time in tonight's stream, we can... I mean, we're not. We've got a lot of time left. But say we start running out of time, we can just run over to the next save point, which is directly ahead of us, whichever way we're going, and be fine. We'll save, and that's it.
Thanks.
And, conveniently, every time you load up an area, all the enemies respawn. need Hope to no longer be unable to cast spells. So Metagard Fang is our best bet at the moment. Just keep the enemy occupied while lightning tries to tear them apart. God damn it, Hope. Cast some freaking healing spells. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is, well, I don't think, if you want to get into that subject, I don't think we'll ever have a World War again. At least not on the same scale as World War II or III. There might be wars with, as every war is currently, the whole world is involved because every country has invented a vested interest in every other country. But most countries are not so invested that they're willing to commit heavily to any sort of engagement. From a major government standpoint. There's always going to be like small little incursions from various countries into various countries to either gather certain resources that they're not being allowed access to, or to subjugate a new group of people, or to support freedom fighters, or what have you. That's going to be a constant thing pretty much forever, as long as humans still exist. The question comes, like, what kind of role is the UN or other major organizations such as are gonna have a say in things? Are they gonna have a say in things? Like right now, that's up in question. Credit chips. We've got a lot of money. Maybe we can buy some... Oh yeah, we've got a lot of money. We just pretty much doubled our money right there. Maybe we can actually just buy some of these things that we need. Transformational catalyst. What does that even mean? Alright, so... yeah, we're gonna dismantle that because we accidentally upgraded it. So we're actually going to just upgrade the hell out of this Axis Blade. We're gonna see what we get out of it. Maybe it's nothing, but maybe it's the world. Hey, our next upgrade is a bonus XP. Let's see if we can really make the use out of that. They would be the children born in the late 40s through up until like 1960. So they would be in their 60s and 70s if I'm getting my generational timeline correct. Ooh, see, that's worth a lot. $19, $26, 475. The generation after that is Gen Xers. So kids born in the 60s through the 70s. And then the millennials are the kids born in the 80s through the 90s, or through like mid 90s. And then I don't know what this next generation is called. Got a lot of this fragrant oil. Oh, we're still on bonus, huh? For a while before we were called the Millennials, we were... Okay. So yeah, before we were called the Millennials, there was a couple of different names. There was the Lost Generation, because our generation didn't have any strong heroes. And then there was also Generation Y was being thrown around for a while. God, what else were they calling us? Oh, 75%, huh? Okay, I see how you want this game. You essentially want me to upgrade something all at once. How high do these weapon levels go? Well, we're out of materials now, so I guess we'll never find out. Although lightning should be sitting pretty. Okay, I need to rephrase that. Lightning should be doing pretty well at this point. She gets more ATB charge by killing enemies. Or by attacking enemies, and her weapon evenly distributes an additional plus 22 attack power and magic. So, heck yeah. As long as she's on the offensive, she's good. Alright, so we'll take these guys down, and then we'll make our way and save, and then we'll see about hitting up that boss. That I'm pretty sure is right around the corner. Huh. There must be some hidden numbers because... Oh, lightning can't attack. Aha! Lightning can't use physical attacks. Interesting. So yeah, as long as we keep Lightning as a commando, she's pretty much gonna rock face through pretty much every combat, so I'm happy with that. So we're going to go ahead and save, and we'll see if there is a boss around that other side. And if there is, hopefully we'll beat them up. Haha. And if we can't beat them up, well, that sucks. But we'll try. A lifesaver, huh? Did we just spend all that time leveling up a weapon only to get a brand new one? Improved raise. Well, we don't have raise at all. I mean, we'll get it eventually, but that's not that helpful. Got 2 of those hunters? No, thank you. Wow, actually, this is a lot bigger area than I would have expected.
Keep your mind on the battle.
But definitely still a good grinding area. Come on, just gotta keep him juggling him. Just gotta keep juggling him. Gotta keep him in the air. The longer we keep him in the air, I mean, it doesn't continue stagger, but what it does do is it prevents them from doing anything like that.
Thank you.
I would say probably late 90s to mid 2010s. So probably like I'm guessing that the generational divide will be like 95 to 2015, roughly speaking.
Thanks.
Because generations seem to be the generational divide in terms of what we call them. Although I think that there are a lot more generations than the ones we divide them into. Tend to be in these somewhere between 10 and 20 year clumps.
Come on then. Change of plan.
Alright, let's get some serious damage on this guy. We won't be able to hit him into another stagger right away, but increasing the stagger is, by a significant margin, is also just a good thing. Alright, he was just kind of standing there for a while. I was actually kind of wondering if he was bugged. Alright. I like how it's just attack, but depending on where they are and what's going on, it will automatically contextually change it from attack to one of the special attacks. That is actually kind of a nice effect. So even if you lock in something like just all attacks, it's not necessarily just all attacks. Oh, that felt really good. I bet it sounded miserable on the mic, but it felt really good. I've been told by people that it sounds like I'm about to die. Like, it sounds like it's straight out of a movie, and that some protagonist just like walked up behind me and cracked my neck in half.
Target's a target.
So Hope and Lightning can't use magic. That's real wonderful. And now Fang can't use magic. Except it doesn't. I don't think it's actually silence. At least she has Metagard. That's something. That'll at least extend her life. Until maybe Hope can do something. But it doesn't seem like it. Now that seems like a real weakness. Not being able to use magic. Like having a character who's pretty much their entire thing that they do is magic, and being able to take that away from them. Like that, all of Hope's classes right now, at this point in the game, are magic users. There is nothing else. He doesn't have another option, and we don't have the option of replacing him. So if he gets hit by these ladies that prevent magic, well, or that have the ability to prevent magic,
Change of plan.
that really puts a damper on his ability to attack, or support, or heal. I wonder whose idea it was, and how in the world they thought it was fun. Alright, well,
Thanks.
let's get back into business and hopefully take one of these ladies down, because they're really messing with my mojo right now. And not in the Austin Powers mojo sense. I mean, just like the flow of combat. Alright, so everybody is all full, and they're, for a while at least, they were nice and provoked by not clones per se. My personal belief in that regard is that as you mature, you become similar to previous mature generations as a whole. But most generations have something that really holds true. And it kind of sticks with it. And I believe, for instance, that my generation's thing is going to be information freedom. Gen Xers were largely about like anti-war. The baby boomers were all about like strong families. And so while I think that you, as generations as a whole, grow older, I mean, there's always outliers within every group, similar to like a generation or a local community or something like that. But that as they grow, as a generation grows older, they become more rooted in their ways, and what seems to happen is every generation seems to undergo this same progression of, well, there's this thing, and it's partly human nature. There's this thing that I don't understand, and because I don't understand it, it must be bad. The easiest example with this is media. Music, television, movies, video games, the internet. As generations lose touch with popular media, they see it as, well, because it's something that I am not capable of understanding, it must be bad because everything that I like is good. That tends to be how things go. And you can definitely see, like, my generation is already doing that. And we need to cut it out. Just because harassing the generations, just because previous generations harass the generations that came after them about their choice in media, does not mean we get to be ignorant. If you don't understand something, that's fine. And I know human nature is to fear what they don't understand, but it's not okay to harass harass the next generation for their thing just because our generation was harassed about our thing. I always get itchy nose while streaming. Sometimes I can like hold off on like rubbing my nose or scratching it, but I don't know what it is about streaming. I always get an itchy nose. And of course, these, like I said, there's always outliers, and also these things can change a little bit. Like the anti-war movement, like it didn't go away, but it definitely softened. Because that generation, when they were fully in their adulthood in the late 70s into early 80s, when they were starting their family-rearing thing, they became set in a society that was less about war. At the time, in the 80s, there was pretty much no major wars going on involving United States troops. And so they didn't have to worry about war. And there was a whole bunch of economic prosperity, so they didn't have to worry about much of anything that way. So then it became all about how much you can, like, what can you do? And how good at it are you? That's a lot of guys ahead of us. What time is it? 8:40. All right, let's go. And, for instance, my generation has laxed a little bit on the informational freedom thing. I mean, not completely, but there's definitely been a little bit of a laxing on that. And it's been more about economic freedom, and economic equality has definitely been a big factor in my generation as of recent years, because now we're a little bit older and we're not as radicalized. We want to, we want to be settling down and having families, and it's a lot harder when with the economic disparity that exists. And I think the generation that's growing up is going to be more about, from what I've seen, is going to be more about personal responsibility, and corporate oversight than much of anything else until they get older. And I don't really know what their like 30 to 40 something change is gonna be. Like once that generation starts getting to the point where they're interested in raising a family, it'll be interesting to see if they have any, like what their shift is gonna be. Because every generation seems to have that shift when they've effectively become into like family age. Or what we consider to be the age for, like, the optimal age of raising a family.
Keep a cool head.
Don't worry.
We'll just have to wait and see what become. So essentially, the way I see it is, once a generation hits the point where they have that flip from the idealism of what the world should be to like what becomes important. Every generation is about what's important to them as a whole, and that is the issue that kind of drives and defines a generation. And then once they become older, and that focus, I don't want to say like goes away. They definitely still have it, but new things become. Once you start thinking about like raising a family and settling down, now you have a whole bunch of different things that you need to think about, and that changes your perspective on and what becomes important to you and what you fight for changes. Hey, Day Zero, how you doing? Yes. As a whole, currently, my generation is the first generation to have less children than the generation before it. So far.
Let's get this over with.
You are free to lurk as much as you want, Day. I will not stop you. And that goes for anyone in the chat. If you wish to bring up topics of discussion, feel free to do so. If you wish to just hang out and watch the game and listen to me talk about random stuff, that is also fabulous. I want to say currently my generation not only has the least, is the first generation to actually drop in the number of children being born, but it's also by like a significant margin, by like 20% or something like that. Like it's a big difference from the previous generation, from Generation X. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to clear this hallway, but I don't think we'll have enough time to actually do the boss fight, because the boss fights in this game are long. Also, these guys are just using like grenade launchers on us.
Thank you.
Or possibly autocannons from like jets.
New strategy.
It'll help. But from my understanding, like I'm doing it out of a kind of I don't necessarily want to say selfless. I mean, it's partially that because I don't want to raise children. Oh, sorry, that's not good. How do I want to put this? I have a lot of genetic predispositions in my family that I don't believe should be passed on to help strengthen further generations by not passing them on.
I think things are about to get interesting.
Yeah, we need to fight these guys if we want to get that treasure chest.
This'll be interesting.
Oh god. This is going to be miserable. That's my personal reasoning. But from my understanding, a large people's reasoning is actually, again, has to do with the economic prosperity. They don't believe that they are in a good enough place. Most of my generation can't buy homes. Most of my generation can't afford the hospital cost of having a child, let alone the additional costs that come with rearing a child. So, from my understanding, that is the most significant factor in why my generation is having fewer children. Oh, Fang. You're really good at taking a beating, at tanking things out. Alright, well, let's do a little bit of aggro and try and at least take one of these ladies out. Maybe two. Maybe we'll take out both ladies and then we'll go back to heal mode. Or maybe we'll go back to heal mode right now. I made that decision a long time ago in, like, what was I, like 15, 16? I decided that until we have the ability to remove genetic dispositions for things that we don't want voluntarily, it should never be a mandatory thing. Or if my partner really wants, like, if I'm with someone and they really want to have biological children, okay. But I will definitely make my
Target's a target.
My thoughts very clear in that personally I believe adoption right now is a much better choice worldwide than having more biological children. There's already enough children in the world that need assistance. Actually, I don't want to curb this kind of heavy discussion too much, but that actually brings up a good point. There are a lot of kids that need help out in the world, and if you do not feel like you're ready for adoption, or you do not feel that you wish to volunteer your time, one thing you can do is help volunteer some of your money into some programs. Many programs can be found, and I'm not just talking about children that need help in the sense like they need to be adopted or anything like that. There's lots of ways you can help kids. And there's a great program for video gamers or potential wannabe programmers or ebook or e-comic book readers. And that is Humble Bundle. Even if you don't use my link, please, whenever you're thinking about making a game purchase or software or ebooks, anything like that, please check out Humble first. Because a portion of the proceeds go towards charities, many of which directly benefit children. But if you also wish to help sponsor this channel, if you use my link, that will do both of those. The charity that I have personally chosen does not, strictly speaking, benefit children, but it might. Oh, removing genetic predispositions? Yes. That is... Genetic modifications on that level are so illegal in most countries that in some of them, even talking about it could get you arrested. But I still think it's an important step that will happen someday. But I do stress that scientists, any future scientists or current scientists that may see this video and are working on making something like that occur, please make it voluntary. And also there needs to be legislation set up so that people who are not genetically modified aren't taken advantage of as second-class citizens. Alright, hey, we're starting to get some of those roles filled out. Not enough, but we're starting. And we are definitely not... Yes. If you're interested in it, Day, have you ever seen the movie Gattaca, starring Ethan Hawke, Uma Thurman, and a very young Jude Law? It's one of my favorite movies. It's very good. It's strongly... It definitely gets into the nitty-gritty, or no, I don't want to say the nitty-gritty, but it definitely gets in there and goes over a lot of factors. Primarily the second-class citizen thing. And that if you're a natural born, there are certain jobs you just can't have in that world. Forcible mutations, yeah. I mean, that might happen someday, who knows? So we definitely don't have enough time to go through that door and fight that boss. Which means we're going to have to make this gauntlet again. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Also, I'm going to do some grinding off screen tonight. Not a whole lot, but some. No, you're not wrong. So... in short, to end our discussion for tonight, the generational gap between, say, my generation and Generation X is not necessarily all that different from the previous generational gaps. It's just that as my generation is coming to their own, and the Generation X is starting to be depowered in terms of the political arena, as it were, and the baby boomers much so as they begin to die off, which is kind of a sad way of putting it, but it's the reality. Each generation fights for the things that are important to them. And so, even though we're just starting to see a big difference between my generation when we were younger and more... how do I want to put this? Had more spunk. That does not necessarily mean that our generation is not still fighting. Generation X is not still fighting. And even the baby boomers are still fighting. It's just that as each generation moves forward and their ideals become the most prevalent, the times change, and that's how progress occurs. In terms of genetic engineering and where that's going, I believe that genetic engineering, once we figure out this whole cloning thing, which is primarily starting with, at least in the States, cloning specific body parts for replacements like liver tissue, skin tissue, hearts, veins. That's where it's mainly going to start in the US. But as things expand, I'm not expecting this even in potentially my own children's lifetime. It's something that we will see happen. Meanwhile, we also have to look forward to cyberization, which will probably be our next... that'll probably be tomorrow's episode. We'll talk about cyberization and where I think that's going. Anyway, I would like to thank Day Zero and Kassan and Wicked for participating in tonight's chat. Thank you guys very much. I would also like to thank everybody who just came in and hung out with me tonight. You guys are awesome. Thank you very much. Now remember that on Saturday, March 31st, we are having our, which is this Saturday, we're having our bonus stream and giveaway. Hope you guys will be there. And remember that in order to win, you have only two things that you need to have happen. You need to be a follower, and you need to be in the chat when I'm giving the item away. Aside from that, that's all. Have a good night, guys, and hope you'll join me tomorrow.